Hey, what's up, everybody? Justin back with another episode of Real Quick Hits. Alright, so today I'm going to hit you real quick with my thoughts on Westworld Season 3. If you follow the channel, I obviously like shows like this. Shows what you got to think and pay attention to fully understand the whole story that's going on. So Westworld Season 3 continues our story of Dolores and where we left off with Season 2. I'm going to try not to give spoilers here, but it follows our characters that we've come to know and love, or hate, depending on where you stand on things. And it introduces some new characters. We get a new character played by Aaron Paul named Caleb Nichols, and he plays a huge part in this season, and kind of takes over one of the main roles. Dolores, played by Evan Rachel Wood, of course, still is the main focus of the story overall. And same thing with Jeffrey Wright, who plays Bernard. If you've watched the show, you know where Season 2 left both of them. So Season 3 picks up, and it gives us a real glimpse of the real world, not Westworld anymore. We really don't spend any time in Westworld. It's pretty much all in the real world. And it really kind of takes us in this almost new direction for the show, but not totally. It plays on the idea of trying to figure out how to say this. I guess if you're watching this, you probably watched Westworld Season 1 and 2, so it plays on the idea of what Dolores wants to do with the real world at this point, how she wants to continue things outside of the park. So we get some conflict between her and another reoccurring character on the show, which is the character of Maeve, played by Thaddeus Newton, and she returns along with the others, and it sets up this conflict, and there's a bigger story going on that I don't want to get into because it will spoil the season for you, I should say, if I do. It definitely takes a little bit of a turn, in that it's a little more futuristic, if you will. We don't do a whole lot of the time jumping stuff that we did in seasons 1 or 2. That storytelling mechanic is not as present anymore. Still there a little bit, but not as heavily. It focuses more on the current, what's really going on in the real world part of their story. So, I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain it. It's such a show that it's even hard to talk about without spoiling things. Ed Harris, of course, is back. His character goes through his own story arc, very different than his story arc in Season 1 or Season 2. And ends in a very different way than what you're probably expecting or thinking. A lot of their characters actually ended this season very different than what you might be expecting. There is a post-credit final scene that I think you absolutely need to make sure that you do catch. Don't shut it off when the credits are rolling, because it really does set up where Season 4 is probably going. It'll be interesting to see where this entire story finally finishes. I know that, there's plans to have a full story and have a real ending to this series, so I'm not sure how many seasons that is. Obviously, sometimes it's taking them some space between seasons to get this done. It's such a complex overall show and story. So Westworld Season 3, obviously, if you haven't watched the other 2 seasons, you're going to be completely lost. So you need to make sure you've watched both Season 1 and Season 2. Season 1 is still probably my favorite season, just because of the whole real world versus in Westworld and what the concept of Westworld is and everything. But even season 3 has some really cool moments, some cool things. It's high concept, it's high sci-fi. It's definitely one of those shows that, again, you can't watch without really thinking about. So, if you've watched me on these before, that's the kind of show that I personally enjoy the most. So, final thoughts: Westworld season 3, absolutely worth watching. Still a great show, still a thought-provoking show, still a show that really makes you think about different things. All the characters have their own stories, their own progressions through stuff. It's not just like, oh, just the main character progresses. No, all the side characters have their own little stories they get told. They do a fantastic job at that. So give it a watch. I'm curious to see where some of you guys think season 3 ranks for you compared to seasons 1 and 2. What you like, the best. Do you think the show is going in the right direction or not? I do. I think the show is progressing and changing itself a little bit as it goes, which is perfectly okay. So, for me, season 3, I'd probably say is about a 4. Again, not my favorite. There's some things I wish they would have added to it or done a little bit different. But again, can't go into it too much without spoiling certain things and certain characters and stuff like that. So about a 4 for me on my final rankings out of 5. Really good. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Let me know what you think of season 3 down below, please. I like to have dialogue on this, and this is Justin signing off.